Hello and welcome to another episode of Jaxon Talks. Everybody, with me, your host, Jaxon Stone. This is episode number 98 of Jaxon Talks, everybody. We are inching very close to episode 100, which will be a very special episode. I will sit on this couch and I will basically recap 100 or I will recap 99 episodes, of Jaxon Talks, everybody, to celebrate the 100th episode. But we're not there yet. We're here at episode 98, and there's a bunch of reasons why I love doing this podcast, but one of them specifically is that I just meet people in my life randomly, whether through Krav, baseball, at the grocery store, doesn't matter, and they just happen to be like these very interesting people who are doing and trying to do interesting, cool things, and they have brilliant life stories that a lot of people will hear and could resonate with and be empowering and uplifting. And I think my guest this week is that person. We met at Krav Maga. We'll get deeper into that. But episode 98, I'm joined by Eli.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, right on, man.
So we're going to jump right in with the most important question that I'll ask you all day. It's the theme of this podcast. Okay. It's the reason this podcast means so much to me. I do a lot of, you might not know, but I do a lot of work in mental health. Oh. I own and operate a mental health nonprofit called You Are Loved.
Wow.
And so the big part of that is basically expressing to people how much they're loved, even in their darkest moment. And I think what can bridge that gap is asking this question, which I'm about to ask you, and asking it honestly and giving enough space for the person to answer it honestly and to create deeper connection and understanding, and just like have a little bit more unity and togetherness in our lives. So, Eli?
Yeah.
How are you doing? Like, really, how are you doing?
I'm trying to keep my enthusiasm in the face of various challenges. And I heard you say I'm doing the best I can. People do the best they can.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm re-entering the workforce after being disabled for a bit. My education's outdated. I'm trying to go back to school. I feel a little bit intimidated because I'm dyslexic and I haven't been to school in a while. And so I kind of dipped my toe in the water early this year, just taking a couple of fun classes to see if I could deal with 10 hours of school versus 40 hours of classes for the trade that I'm trying to go into.
And what's the trade you're trying to go into?
Well, I'm a dad. And I've researched a lot of fun and interesting, and then not so fun, career paths. Mm-hmm. When my doctor told me I could return to the workforce. But like the number one important thing to me when it comes to creating a living is having time. I have a kid. I want to spend time with her, and during the time that I was disabled, I enjoyed a lot of hobbies. Mm-hmm. And I would like to have time to enjoy at least one or two or three or four of those, on my days off. And so I talked to some of the people at Krav, actually Bruce. Hope he doesn't mind me calling him out. There's like 4 or 5 pilots that go to Krav. Mm. And I picked their brains, and they get a lot of days off. They work 4 days. Get 4 days off. They get layovers and they get paid. 3 days on, 3 days off. 6 days on, 6 days off. A lot of days off. And my kid's only going to be a kid a little while, so I want to enjoy that. Yeah.
How old is your kid?
She's 14. She's
14.
Yeah. She's already has friends and stuff, but we're still really close. And I attribute that a lot to the fact that while I was disabled, I spent at least 4 hours with her daily, quality time. Mm-hmm. And so, this new circumstance, doesn't allow me 4 hours a day with her, and plus I've been separated almost 2 years. So that doesn't help. That makes things a little more difficult. She's getting older. And so I'm like, man, I need a career path that's going to allow me time with her.
Is that some of the challenges that you alluded to when answering the first question?
Yeah,
being separated, being disabled.
Yeah.
You want to talk about those more?
Well, it's a little embarrassing, but I think it's important to be a little vulnerable and to be honest about stuff, because most people on social media, they want to portray everything that's positive.
Right.
And the truth is, it's a mix of blessings and challenges, character building moments.
I like that. That. It's a mix of blessings and challenges.
Yeah, man. That's real beautiful. Life. Thank you, man. So I was working for a temp agency. I told them Tuesday and Thursday I need to have off, because that's the arrangement I have with my daughter's mom. Mm-hmm. I was like, I need these days off because I take care of my daughter these days, unless my daughter can come with me to work. They're like, no, can't do, but we can give you those days off. You just call in the days that you want to work. I'm like, I can work every day except Tuesday, Thursday. I have my daughter. And so I planned my classes accordingly. The classes I really, really wanted were Monday and Wednesday, but I took some other fun classes Tuesday, Thursday. And this worked out for a little while, but toward the end, like toward March, they started weaning my hours off, because they wanted to push towards me taking a full-time position at one of the temp assignments that I was going to. And I was like, that's going to negate my, that's going to mess things up. Mm-hmm. And so, they did that to me one day a week, no days, until finally I wasn't getting assignments. And every time I would call in and I would tell them, okay, I'm going to file unemployment and just look for another job, they would give me an assignment, and then there would be a big gap again, because you're not unemployed with a temp agency past 3 days of no assignments. So they just kind of baited and they played that game. So right now I have an eviction notice. My lights are off. I'm three car payments behind. And pretty much I'm broke. So a lot of times you'll see me ride my bike to crowd. It's like, well, I don't have gas. I'm gonna just ride my bike there. I need cardio anyways. Mm-hmm. So I'm adapting. I'm looking for another job. I finally told the temp agency, let's just call it what it is. Let's just call it the end of this relationship. And they're like, okay, that's fine. We won't keep doing this. And so I filed for unemployment, but it was rejected, which is fine. I'm looking for another job. But keeping your enthusiasm, I think that's the challenge. It's not the problems, it's the enthusiasm. It's easy to have faith under favorable conditions.
It's easy to have faith under favorable conditions.
Yeah. When your lights are on and you have food and you have gas and you have, you know where you're gonna stay, and things are running smooth. But when things are running bad, you still have to go to crowd. You still have to go to school. You still have to be a dad. You still have to pursue higher learning so that you can provide. You still have to keep your enthusiasm, And I think that's the hardest part. It's not the problems. It's what's going on up here when you're going through stuff.
Is that something you've always had, or did you have to learn that when these challenges started to arise in your life?
It's funny, man. When I was 17.
17?
Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
It was a minute. I'm a 14-year-old, so it was a minute. So anywho, I'm dyslexic. I struggled in school. I didn't learn to read till I was 7. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anybody. I got caught. I was a good pretender. I was good at hiding what I needed to hide, and get my lessons done, by asking for help from other students, by memorizing stuff, But a brother at my church, he caught me. And he kept my secret, and he helped me fill in the gaps of what I wasn't understanding about the reading process. Mm-hmm. I could read very poorly, but I wasn't grasping, and he kind of helped me with that. And he made my parents enroll me in the theocratic ministry school shortly after that, And so I was forced to give public talks at church, and that really helped me. And so when I was 17, I was like, oh my gosh, here's a chance to get a job where I can get better at something that I suck at. And so I got a job, maybe I might have been 17 or 18.
When you got the job at the library, Dallas Public Library?
Yeah, and I stayed there 3 years, man, and I loved it, man. I read my ass off, because I sucked at reading, And, I feel the same with anything that I suck at. I just pour into it, because it's like, you don't have to be great to get started, Les Brown said, but you got to get started to be great.
That's right.
Or get better.
Yeah, everyone is a fool when they start doing anything that they could potentially master.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's really cool to have that sort of mindset when you start things. Like, it's really evident when we're doing Krav and we're doing martial arts, right?
Yeah.
Obviously you're not just born being able to read.
Right.
It takes some people longer than others. And I think what's really cool is you had a person who cared about you enough to not judge you, not belittle you, not tell you that you're stupid, or any of these words that potentially could be used when someone just hasn't figured something out yet. Right?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And he did that for you.
Yeah, man.
And
awesome.
He kept your secret so no one else made fun of you or looked down upon you, and you figured it out. And and I think having those people in your life is super important. That's why I love sports so much. I'm a big sports guy. I played sports my whole life. And I coach a baseball team now, 13-year-old baseball team.
Holy crap.
And having some sort of positive role model in your life.
Hell yeah.
Because not everyone has two sets of parents. Not everyone has, everyone's doing the best they can. So not everyone's situation is the same, is what I'm trying to say. And so when you go to a sports team or church or group or a community, there could be that one person that's that light that's like, okay, maybe if I do these things, I can grow up and potentially be like that person. And I think that's cool.
That's it.
That it led you all the way to wanting to read more and challenge yourself more and work at the Dallas Public Library, which is a sweet place.
It was a lot of fun, man. I read a lot of stuff. Oh, this is a funny story. So to answer your question, there was a patron at the library, and he left a book. It was his own personal copy.
Of the book?
Of the book.
Okay.
I had never seen it, and I had been there 3 years. And I noticed it was his copy because it didn't have the library sticker on it. And I wouldn't have read it because, at 17, 18, my mind was on fun stuff.
Sure.
I read fun stuff. But the title was so funny. I was like, I just had to read it, and I couldn't put it down. I had it read in 2 days. It was, your opinion of me is none of my business.
Your opinion of me is none of my business.
I was like, what the heck? And the author was just as interesting as the book.
Yeah?
Yeah, I had to read her biography after that. Her name was Whitaker. What was her name?
Terry Cole Whitaker.
Terry Cole Whitaker.
What You Think of Me is None of My Business by Terry Cole Whitaker.
Yes.
So that book had a profound impact on you?
Very.
Tell me why.
Well, when you start in life at a disadvantage, you have a lot of negative self-talk. Mm-hmm. You have a very negative self-image. Well, you can potentially. I did. I felt that I had to do twice or 3 or 4 times as much as the next guy just to keep up. And I cared a lot about what people thought about me. Mm-hmm. People's opinions were like law. It's like, man, they said it must be true. They're smarter than me. It must be true. When I case in point, when I was 7, I finally learned to read. I could read my name and some things, but I wasn't at the level that everybody else was. Mm-hmm. But when I learned to read, I started writing, and I would write these stories, and I love writing stories. And I didn't have an issue until I told an instructor, And at first he was very excited for me, and he read some of the stories. But then then he said, you know what, this is affecting your other schoolwork. I think you should stop. And he even mentioned that to my parents.
Stop writing?
Yeah. He's like, and so I did. I did right up until I didn't do anything else, because I was like, well, I am stupid. This is somebody that knows what they're talking about, and I need to stop writing because this will help me do better in school. And I just stopped that creative process. But I would write a story a week. Write a story a week. I mean, it was so much fun because it's like finding a new superpower.
Yeah.
It's like, wow,
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And then,
can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Before why do you think that teacher did that? Because clearly he thought he was doing the right thing, right?
Absolutely.
Which is so interesting because he thought he was helping you.
Yeah.
To give you more space and attention to focus on your schoolwork, but taking away something that you actively loved doing.
Yeah, I really loved it, man.
So interesting.
I think, okay, so I heard it said like this. It doesn't matter where the advice comes from. If it's bad, you have to guard your mind.
Right, but you're a young person at that point.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you know.
If I told you to stop writing now, you should absolutely not listen.
No,
right? Because now it's what you want to do. It's what you love.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
No, well, I think,
excited.
Yeah, I think things are passed on. His parents probably told him the same thing. And his parents probably told him the same thing.
Maybe.
I think a lot of people are well intentioned, but they don't have all the facts, maybe, or they have a social taught way of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I read that book, it was so interesting because, okay, this woman was a writer from the 70s. Women really didn't have that much of a voice in the 70s. You know what I mean? They were kind of socially pressured to. I don't want to say it in a negative way, but to not have a voice.
Right.
Right.
They were socially pressured to fit into this box.
Yeah.
That we thought was what they should be doing, which is obviously absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what it was in the 70s, I guess. I don't know. I didn't live in that time, but.
Yeah, and so I think it's interesting. Lucille Ball, another one of my heroes. She lived in the 50s, I think, or 60s, I think, and she, she went against all odds. And I read her story, and she was told to stop writing. I was like, huh. Somebody else told this person to stop writing, and she started her own production company. They didn't want to hire her. She's like, well, I'll just create my own.
Let's do it myself.
I'll do it myself. The same thing with Whitaker. She in the book, it talks about how, and I'm paraphrasing, how the gifts that God put in us may never manifest if we listen, if we put too much stock in what other people say. What other people think of us. So it should be none of our business. We should do what we feel is going to honor God in terms of development, developing ourselves, because how would you feel, man? You gave me this awesome hat.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you saw this hat later on the floor in my car with a bunch of crap on it?
Well, I wouldn't assume anything. Right. I would imagine you have a lot going on.
Right.
And it just got left there.
That's possible. But I guess where I'm going is, a gift unused.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now I know what you mean.
So God gives us gifts. He puts things in us. I mean, name one creation that doesn't have a gift. Everything, right? So, God puts gifts in us, and the only limitations that we have are the ones we self-impose or that we let other people impose on us. Yeah. And that's the premise of the whole book. I was like, damn, I wasted, 11 years. I wish I would have had the information,
Yeah, well, it got presented to you and you probably needed it the most.
Yeah, I started doing other creative stuff then.
Yeah, so you started writing back up again?
Well, I started writing poetry, and I took an art class at the El Centro Library. I entered an art competition at the Dallas for the city of Dallas. I got second place.
Nice.
Yeah, for painting, and and I not always popular, but I try to speak my mind, even though it's my partner, my wife, she gets embarrassed. Sometimes I share things that it's like, oh, going through a bad patch. Don't share that. It's like, well, this is really where I'm at. or I may say something that's not popular. You know, it's like, don't say anything. Well, that's how I feel. You know, and I think the reason that I'm a little over expressive is I didn't have a voice for 11 years. You know what I mean? It's like I need to share how I feel and what I think, and I don't want to, you know, not do that, because then it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
It becomes a habit.
Yeah, you realize when you don't have something how important it is to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's with a lot of things. With death, right?
Yeah.
You realize how important someone is to you when they're gone.
Yeah. For sure.
And so you want to, you know, nurture it and love it while it's here, while you have it, and whether that be your creative gifts, you as a person, right? You want to nurture you as a person, because you won't be here forever either. Your brain, your body, your soul, all of those things, and all the untapped potential that people have, all the stuff that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
These unique gifts that we have, right? Before we started recording, you talked about like having a gut feeling.
Yeah.
You know, and people have to be able to trust themselves and follow that like intuition.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. But if we're always being weighed down by other people's opinions, we're really thinking about, I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm doing what you think I should be doing. That's a lot. Like, you don't know me. So now you're thinking of something that I should be doing, and I'm trying to then backtrack and think of that thing that you're thinking that I'm thinking of doing. Just even saying it out loud is really complicated. Imagine how our brain and our body is trying to figure it out and then actually try to actively do it, how much energy we're giving up just by doing that. You know, so if we can start to like unravel that, unpack it, trust ourselves, follow our gut, our intuition, doesn't mean we're going to succeed at anything we do, but at least we're going to be down a path that's true to us.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to fall. We're going to get punched in the face. We're going to get knocked down. Right? Things are going to go bad.
They are.
Right? But eventually they might turn around and be good. And if they're almost good, you're living an authentic life, and it's much better than living someone else's version of your life.
I agree with that.
Because you're the best you. You're going to be the second best someone else.
Yeah.
You're going to be the best you.
That's a smart statement, yeah.
You know?
Very true smart statement.
But it's hard. It's hard, especially like potentially in your situation where like things are not great.
They're not.
They're not, right? They're not great. And we have to be realistic about our situations. We have to rub it against reality and then figure out little moves we can make every day to make it somewhat better. So eventually in 6 months, a year, it will be better.
Yeah.
And I think that you're doing those things.
I think so too.
And being on this podcast, my community, we're going to help you out.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we got some surprises for you.
Oh, nice.
But anyways, yeah, that's what I think. Yeah. All right, talk to me about your writing.
Okay, so...
Just like when you got interested in it, what it means to you. I know someone told you to stop writing, but maybe when you got back into it.
Okay, yeah. So I started writing poetry, you know. And most of my poems are storytelling, you know. And then I became a father, and then we did the same thing.
You became a father at a very young age.
Relatively.
Relatively young?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, you know, my daughter and I, we had this ongoing game since she was like probably 5, you know. And it's Jennifer and Alexa. So she's Alexa. She's a transfer student from Paris or somewhere exotic, right? Every time we play, it's a different place, but usually it's Paris.
Okay.
And I'm her rival, right? I'm Jennifer. And so, and I know that's kind of goofy. I'm a guy playing a girl, but you know, it's my daughter. It's my kid. And so I played the role of a head cheerleader, the popular girl. She comes to the school and she steals my thunder, and then she has to win me over. So she steals my thunder in different ways. You know, either she's a better ballet dancer or whatever, you know, and then she has to win me over, and so we script these games every time we play. It's like, okay, so what's the story? She's like, Daddy, let's play. I'm like, okay, let's play. What's the game? What's the story? Okay, so this time XYZ, you know. And so we've been doing this, you know, 9 years. You know, we have a 9-year trek of doing this. I'll show you a video in a little bit.
All right.
But, well, after the podcast, I'll show you a video. But we really enjoy this, you know. And so we've been writing scripts for 9 years, I guess, you know. And then my wife and I started drifting away, you know. and I wanted to find something for us to reconnect. You know? And she liked photography, you know. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna take a video class. We'll do photography and video together, right? Batman and Robin, you know. And so I started taking the courses, and then COVID happened. We never did anything. We ended up separated. But during the course of that, what I discovered is I really like storytelling more than I knew. You know, it came back full circle.
Amazing.
Yeah. And during that semester, I got stopped on my motorcycle. I was riding, saving gas, going to school, and I got stopped because my license plate, and it turned out that I had a fine, you know, from like 3 years prior, or 4 years prior, whatever. And so I had to sit out this fine, you know, 30 days. What do you do for 30 days?
So you couldn't do anything for 30 days?
I was in jail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was sitting out a fine.
Got it.
Yeah. And so I'm like, man, this really sucks. How am I going to catch up with school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I prayed about it. And then I just started writing like scene ideas because we had to do a short film for our final project at school.
Got it.
I was like, man, you know, these scenes would be cool for a short film, you know, and I would come up with these scenes. And then before I knew it, it turned into, I started writing about my life. And then 30 days into it, I had a script of a piece of my life that was significant to me. And then, you know, so that's full circle where I am right now. I want to pitch this script. I want to pitch this script, and someone smarter than me that can get it, you know, turned into something.
So you wrote a script.
Yeah.
It's about your life.
It's a turning point. Yeah, turning point.
Turning point in your life.
Yeah.
And that's why you started doing Krav Maga?
Partially, yeah. I needed to shoot the fight scene. There's a fight scene in the script.
Okay, so first, because the fight scene is based off some real events.
Based off real events.
So let's backtrack to those real events.
Okay.
And then you can relay how you wrote the scene and then why you wanted to do Krav. Okay, so take us back to the actual fight.
Okay, so I wouldn't call it a fight. It was a beating.
Well, either way.
Okay, I was dating this young girl, Nicole, and I had started taking care of her because she started getting sick, you know. And her father and I didn't share how she should be spending her time, you know, her last time. And, you know, I felt, okay, let's make a list. Let's do everything that you're afraid of and that you want to do, you know. And he's like, no, let's keep her safe. And now I'm a dad, so I'm like, now I get it, you know. So the first thing I want to say is what I learned from that experience was that just because you're right doesn't mean the other guy's wrong. You know, her dad and I just had different views of how her last moment should be spent.
Yeah.
You know? But before we got to that understanding, you know, because she made me confront him over the fight. He sent a couple of gents to kind of discourage me from the from the relationship. It was 5 dudes, and they just beat the crap out of me. They beat me unconscious. And she was pissed. And we went and talked to her dad, and I was like, look, the reason you're pissed is because I'm a reflection of you, you know, in many senses, you know. Now, I wasn't criminal or anything, but he spent her first 9 years in prison. Her first 9 birthdays in prison. He got arrested when his wife was pregnant. And so I get it. He was making up for lost time, and he's like, man, I'm losing her again probably. And here's this guy in the way just, I get it, you know. But at the same time, I was in a bad place. You know, I had lost my dad. I had started dating a young lady. And well, that's too complicated. I had just gotten out of a relationship. And I met this young lady. I had lost my dad, and I was bitter, you know, because my first relationship failed. You know, I felt at the time I blamed God for not helping. When my dad was sick, and so I didn't want anything to do with religion or worship or any of that stuff. And I was doing a lot of like just self-destructive, self-sabotaging, just dumb stuff. And then I met her, and then she gave me a reason to want to be better. And I was like, man, look. When I talk to her father, I'm like, I love her for the same reasons you do, to some extent. She makes me want to be better. She made you want to be better. She makes me want to be better. I'm not going to give her up. I'm not going to let you take that. But you don't have to worry, because she's going to be good with me for the same reason she's good with you, because I value her the same way. So that's how that went down.
Okay. So then you got beat up by those 5 dudes.
I got beat up, yeah.
And then you had a better relationship with the father moving forward?
Yeah, we did. We became really good friends. And I wanted to interpret that. I kind of debated about shooting that, including that. I didn't want to offend him. There were a lot of things I took into consideration. And also it was embarrassing. But I thought, okay, I wanted to... So you guys know I'm going to take a creative... what's it called, liberty with the scene, and not get beat as bad. So in the scene, I want to kind of hold my own till the end and then get overpowered. And so it just, because it's not as entertaining to watch someone just get beaten versus seeing a semi evenly matched fight, and almost kind of be guessing where it's gonna go, But I kind of spoiled it. I mean, spoiler.
And then that woman passed away?
Yeah, we lost her. But she, in the time that I had her in my life, I realized that I wasn't suffering while I was taking care of her. You know what I mean? I wasn't focused on, because we suffer when we me, my. But when like you do a lot of stuff for other people, And I don't know what's going on in your life, but I'm sure no matter what's going on in your life, when you're doing service for other people and you're seeing you're doing something positive, you don't really have the same time and energy to focus on what happened to me or what's happening to me. It just, that space isn't occupied by negative stuff.
Right. That's why one of the key things when you're talking about struggling with your mental health or having a bad day or whatever the case may be is just being able to go do something nice for someone else or being of service to someone else will get you out of your own head and present into the moment of feeling this kind of joy from serving other people. And that's why it's a really helpful tool for that. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So one of the lessons of the film that I think is important is that two things. That just because you're right about something doesn't mean the other person's wrong, And if you're suffering, you'll suffer less if you're focused on someone else or something else, something positive, someone positive. Yeah. And so I think that was a growth moment for me.
Amazing. And then you wrote basically this whole script while you were sitting in prison, in jail. Jail. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's a finished product?
Well, I think so. I keep retweeting it because it's really freaking long.
Sure.
And it's hard to... I think the biggest challenge is knowing what things to omit because life is very detailed.
Yeah.
But people only want, a finite amount of information.
Ideally, how long would you like the movie to be if someone were to make it?
Short film, maybe 20 minutes.
Oh, you just want a 20-minute film?
Well, I was thinking that would get me, something to show and present.
Got it.
For someone else, baby steps.
Well, I have a lot of friends. That sounded very weird. I have a lot of friends who are actors.
Okay.
Because I come from a professional wrestling background, as you know.
Yeah.
I used to be a professional wrestler. And that's the entertainment industry, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people there want to be actors. And I have 2 specific buddies. They've both been on this podcast who do short films and who write and edit and produce and do all this stuff. So they could potentially be people that you could get linked up with to help you shoot some scenes.
That would be fun.
Or to look at some of your writing and iron it out. However we can help. I think they would be super down.
I would love that.
So let's get that. Let's get us all in a room. We'll chop it up. We'll talk about your script.
Okay.
And I think they would love to help.
Okay, sounds good.
Both of them are writers. One of them really writes poems.
Nice.
His name's Ryan. He's really good. He also was a professional wrestler. Now he's into poetry and he does acting.
Nice.
And then my other buddy, he was on episode 96. His name's Reno. He's a stand-up comedian.
Nice.
Also is a writer and was just in his first short film as well. And so I think the combination of those two and your genius and your original story and your life, I think you can maybe hash something out and then potentially shoot some scenes also.
I like that Reno's a comedian, man, because I listen to a lot of comedy.
He's funny.
Yeah, life needs comedy, and I think because the material is kind of dark. It was a dark time.
Life is hard.
Yeah.
There's no way around that, and we shouldn't sugarcoat it. Can't be naive to the pain that life brings.
That's right.
But there's always light. Yeah. There's always light.
But it would be cool, man, to have respectful humor in there.
Yeah.
Make some humor in there
for sure.
To kind of balance it out.
I think so. I ran a fundraiser for my nonprofit in March, and he performed like 5 minutes of his original set there. So even at a mental health event, he made some great jokes about whatever, So I think it would be cool. But let's work that out.
Okay.
Let's get that going. So maybe
amazing.
Maybe that'll be helpful for you.
Absolutely. Sounds cool.
So back to then. So then you had that event in your life.
Yeah.
You wrote the whole script.
Yeah.
Felt inspired to get creative about it.
Yeah.
And then decided that you wanted to do Krav because you wanted the fight scene to look more legit because you wanted to be in it. That was the train of thought?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I haven't had a fight since I was 17. I use my words.
Okay, great. You're very good with your words. So.
I try to. I don't see a win in a fight because here's the reason I had my last fight at 17. I did have an altercation. It wasn't an altercation. It was a gentleman that he's like, man, he wanted to spar basically. I'm like, why? He's like, well, I just want to see what your skills are. And I was naive and I sparred with this guy, and I didn't know how to fight, but he couldn't hit me. I was fast enough back then. I was like a lot skinnier and wiry and skinny.
You're fast now. We train together all the time.
Thanks. But I didn't know how to strike, but he couldn't hit me, and so he's like back then, I was in high school and my parents took me out because of this situation. For over a year, I got beat up because I wouldn't join a gang. I didn't know what he was trying to do was to recruit me. He was trying to see if I was valuable in that. And so I don't really see a real win in a fight. If you win, you're going to have problems later. If you lose, then you lost.
Right.
So I don't really see a win. So I haven't had a fight since I was 17. And I started taking Krav because I'm like, I don't know how to move like a fighter. I'm not a fighter, and I want to look less pathetic when I lose the fight. I wanted to lose gracefully.
Yeah.
Do a few defenses and then, obviously get overpowered so that it's authentic to the storyline. But I wanted it to be also more entertaining. It's more entertaining when you have a more evenly set fight. Yeah.
That was the original intention with taking Krav. Have you found any other benefits from it?
Absolutely.
What else?
Okay, so with the ground stuff, I suck at ground.
So let's knock out a few minor details first. Okay, Krav Maga. You can actually listen to the episode I had with one of our instructors at Krav Maga Dallas, Eric Keener. But Krav Maga is like your self-defense for the real world. Right, you have a lot of these other martial arts where you can do competitions and things of that nature. Krav Maga is based on being able to protect yourself in a real life situation. You're getting mugged, you're getting robbed, someone's trying to put you in a van, things that happen to people every day. Krav Maga is trying to teach you how to potentially defend yourself if that were to happen to you in real life. Yeah. So it's very to the point. It's very, it's supposed to protect you and get you out of the situation as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So in a fight, you could potentially be standing up, or you could be taken to the ground. And so what Eli is referring to as ground survival would be if someone were to take you to the ground, how are you going to get them off of you to be able to get away? So continue.
Okay, so one of the guys that I was sparring with on ground survival, it's grappling basically.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna provide some significant resistance.
Okay.
Excuse me. Because I don't want you going out there and thinking that you learn this defense that it's just gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't get out. And he's like, okay, so stop focusing on getting out. Just focus on getting in a less bad position.
Okay.
And I love the way he said that, less bad. And so, he's like, try to inch this way, try to inch that way, try to get pressure off your elbow, try to do this, try to do that. And that's what I love about ground. I really suck at it, but it's really life. It's a fight for territory. You're not going to win all your fights. I didn't pass my belt test. I didn't get a cosigner for pilot school. I failed one of the 3 classes fun classes. Mm-hmm. How do you fail a fun class? But I failed it, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not doing great in my relationship. Been separated 2 years, but life is ground survival. You're fighting for territory. You're just trying to be in a less bad position until you can be in a good position. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things I got from that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get punched in the face, like you said.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes there's accidents or whatever. But I think that's the beauty of martial arts.
Yeah.
Because I started doing jiu-jitsu as well.
Oh, man.
So I started doing Krav September of 2021.
Okay.
Right, so we're in 2022.
Okay.
We're recording this episode May 17th, 2022. Mm-hmm. It will come out in June, episode 98.
Nice.
And then I started jiu-jitsu in February. I love jiu-jitsu a lot.
It's cool.
It's really, really fun, but it's really, really hard.
Very hard.
And it's the exact same thing you're saying, right? You're putting yourself in these uncomfortable situations where someone is literally trying to choke the life out of you or punch you in the face or break your arm. And that's in like a controlled environment in a martial arts studio. And then when you get out into life, you're like, things seem less hard because you're already actively and voluntarily putting yourself in hard positions.
That's it.
And so I think that's the biggest beauty of martial arts, or that's the biggest beauty of doing anything voluntarily. That's challenging, like you're saying, right? There's blessings and there's challenges.
Yeah.
Sometimes we pick those challenges. Sometimes they just smack us right in the face. But if we've been voluntarily doing things that are hard, getting up at 5 a.m. to go work out, riding our bike across the town because we don't have gas money, figuring it out every single day, these challenges keep hitting us, and then we keep getting back up, and then we start to learn how to defend ourselves. We start to learn how to block the armbar or move the punch from our face and attack our attacker or attack life. And things do start to get better. They do.
Smart way to say it.
And I think that's why jiu-jitsu, judo, MMA, Krav, all of these things, sports, baseball, all of these things that are hard, really hard. Theater, becoming an actor, getting into the entertainment industry, writing, doing anything creative, being an entrepreneur, being a lawyer, doctor, all of these things, being a mom, father, right? All of these things are so hard, but we actively are trying to do them so that other things in our life become less hard, and we can be more to the people that we love. We can be more to ourselves. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's...
Oh, man, it's brilliant.
That's how I feel.
That's brilliant, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking some of those. I'm putting them... storing them away.
Yeah, well, I've done, 98 episodes of this podcast, so I've got some wise words of wisdom to say through my own experiences and trials and tribulations. And,
oh, man, please share.
Setbacks.
Something interesting.
Something interesting?
Yeah, anything.
What do you want to know?
Something inspiring. A turning point for you.
Oh, turning point for me. Well, I told you I have a nonprofit called You Are Loved.
Yes.
The reason I started that nonprofit was because my sister died.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she took her own life in September of 2018. So you've dealt with loss, right?
Yeah.
Your dad, the woman you were dating.
Yeah.
Grief is really challenging.
Yeah.
Grief is really hard, and it's really complicated, and it throws you in so many different directions. And so the only thing that I saw that could potentially save me from spiraling was trying to help myself by helping other people.
That's brilliant, bro.
And so I've learned a lot about life and mental health and overcoming challenges, and now I coach people, teams, athletes, individuals,
Wow,
do this
dude.
podcast, all this stuff. I do a lot of public speaking.
Love public speakers, man. I listen to Les Brown. I listen to what's his name? Les Brown, and then there's another one. Had a senior moment.
That's all good. But yeah, those people, they have a way with words that I feel like they resonate in your gut, and I feel that a lot. And so yeah, that's kind of a little bit very brief story about me, but we can talk more about it after,
Absolutely.
or get some coffee or get some food or whatever. But
absolutely.
But yeah, man, where were we? We were in the good stuff. Oh, so Krav, yeah. So Krav started for you as a way to, perform better in this fight scene.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be something that has helped you in life.
It has, yeah. It's helped me in a lot of ways. When I dealt with losing my father, and losing this young lady, one of the things that really helped me was finding something that I could be consistent at. You know what I mean? And so when I started going to Krav, like I told you, it's 5 miles from my house.
Yeah.
I would ride over there. I would ride my bike over there when I didn't have gas, because I'm like, I can't miss. If they don't give me an assignment, there's no reason for me not to go to all the classes, because it's not just the, because you do something negative to yourself when you make it a habit of not following through, and that does something bad to you. I can't explain it, but it does something bad to you, where it's easier to not follow through with other stuff. Like I told you, I was overweight at the beginning of the year. I had a really bad gut, and that was because I was depressed because of my separation and not being able to see my daughter on a regular basis. Re-entering the workforce without a skill that was relevant, knowing that I was going to go back to school with people that are 20. I'm not 20, so I started eating, bro. I started eating a lot of pizza, and I was like, man, I've got to get rid of this, So Krav was helping me get in shape. It was helping me to have positive associations. So many cool people there.
Yeah, it's a really cool place.
And it was giving me something to not quit.
Yeah.
So, and it just helped me in all those senses. Right now, I won't get into the details, but when I separated, I also lost privileges in my congregation. So I can't associate with people in my congregation. So I'm, these people I've known since I was, 5. That's my circle. And so I was also without a support system, without people that I know that I can, share my grief with and share my fears and challenges with. And so going to Krav, I treat everybody there like my family, bro. Because those are the people that I associate with on a regular basis. So that was really helpful too. I think it's good for mental health to have people to associate with.
Oh yeah.
So that was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
So I'll go to all the classes. Since December, Krav classes alone, like 190 classes of just Krav plus the other classes. So probably close to 300 classes since December.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an unheard of level of commitment.
But I needed that association.
Yeah. I
needed that so much. And I'm in a better place now. I don't need it as much, but I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm stronger now, but I still enjoy it.
It's become part of who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Oh man, I love it.
So ideally, if things were to go well, what would happen with your script? Someone would pick it up, or you would film it yourself, or what What's an ideal situation look
Okay,
like?
so ideally someone would pick it up because there are people smarter and more skilled than me that can honor it better than I
Sure,
can.
but they don't have your story. So your story is the most important part.
Yeah, I would love them to develop the story. I would love to honor this girl's memory. I would love to, share that story. But if nobody picks it up, second thing would be, maybe start filming it, at least a segment of it myself, to maybe create interest later. That's what I think the baby step is. Before I reach to here, maybe I should just start here.
Okay.
Filming something that might get picked up by someone bigger.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to a few of my people and see if we can get something going.
Sounds great.
I'm in to help whatever I can do.
Oh, dude, thank you.
So,
Appreciate that.
yeah. Amazing. This is great.
Man, I enjoyed it.
Do you have any other thoughts, comments, concerns, questions, anecdotes?
No, you know what? Honestly, this was therapy for me. I just got to kind of unload, and that was fun. And I got to be human and vulnerable, and just say, hey, man, you know what? I am where I am because I made decisions that got me where I am, and I got to dig myself out. But in the meantime, it's nice to have people that don't judge me, and that have my back. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for being open and honest, and I'm sure people who are listening want to help, and my friends and me will. So we'll get together and do something. Try to do something special for you.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, episode 98. Wow. Then episode 99. Then episode 100. So whoa, amazing. So thank you for listening. Share this with a friend. Give us a review on Apple, Spotify. Give us a thumbs up or subscribe on YouTube. But really, thanks for coming back every week. Check out for Eli's movie. We're going to be dropping that shit. It's going to be sweet. And yeah, take care wherever you're watching or listening to this. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. Tell them how much you love them. And I love you. Thanks for coming back every week. And we'll see you next time.